Is this very possibly gonna be the stupidest video I've ever made? Probably. I originally had this idea on my TikTok a while back, and I even actually filmed 2 videos, and they've just been sitting in my drafts, and that's how I thought of this, because I just looked through my drafts on TikTok and I was like, why is this still in here? And I never posted them because it's not my usual content. Over there, if you don't follow me over there already, all I do are like painting videos and painting book videos, obviously, and like monthly wrap-ups over there. But even then, they're just like very brief. They aren't like on here where they're in depth at all. I don't really just show my face on TikTok in general because I'm scared to. I don't like making any kind of like other content on there except for that. So, but for this idea, I'm like, this is a great idea. And you know, while I'm sitting down and getting ready this morning, I'm like, I feel like talking about it. Even though, like, will anyone care? Probably not. Does anyone want this video, or did anyone ask for this video? Literally no. I'm gonna talk about it anyways because my specialty is talking about things that no one else cares about. So as you can tell by the title, if you couldn't already tell, what I'm going to be talking about today is how I think different book characters would fare on the game of Survivor. I am literally the biggest Survivor fan ever. Don't challenge me on that. It's just a fact. Watched every single season of Survivor since I was a young little girly. And I've applied every year since I've turned 18. I want to go on Survivor so bad. I love Survivor. And I was like, you know what? I just got thinking one day, I'm like, how do I think some of my favorite fictional characters would do on Survivor? So that's what I'm going to talk about today. As I said, literally no one cares about this video, but I want to talk about it and I think it'll be fun. So let's talk about it while I do my makeup. I don't really have like many people planned. It's more just, you know, my overall vibe, how I think they're going to do. This is just my opinion, and this is really just for fun. Yeah, feel free to disagree with me in the comments. Let me, oh, there is a cat hair in my foundation. Literally lilac kitties. You're also a fellow Survivor fan. Let me know in the comments below. I would love to chat with literally anyone and everyone about Survivor because the new season is coming back soon, and I can't wait. My only issue with it already is that I'm not on it, but it's fine. First up, we have one of my main men, Mr. Kazbrecker from the Six of Crows duology. We're starting off with a bang here because Kaz would win, hands down. You can't convince me otherwise. Kaz would literally run the game from start to finish. He would hit that beach, he would find the idol right away. He would always have a trick up his sleeve, and he would be making alliances, he would be making plans, and he would be making things happen literally right from the get-go. And now you may say that he may struggle more in the social aspect of the game, and there, I don't think you're wrong. However, I think people would really see him as a leader and kind of think that he might be a bigger target, and that it might be kind of good to let Kaz call the shots while they kind of like dodge a little bit pre-merge, and then post-merge when they're like, now we can get Kaz out, you're not gonna get him out. Nope. And you know what? He's not even gonna have to rely on winning individual immunity because like I said, he's gonna have idols left and right. And if he doesn't have the idols, he's gonna know where the idols are, and he's gonna be able to manipulate whoever to play the idols however would best fit Kaz. Kaz is a very selfish person, and I think that that would obviously benefit him in Survivor. And I think he would get to the end and be able to like convincingly convince a jury that he deserves it because they would know that he played the best game. As we've seen in later seasons of Survivor, the people that play the better games are winning more often than the people who make the most friends because people respect the gameplay. And Kaz would just knock it out of the park with gameplay. So Kazbrecker is winning hands down. On the counterpart of Kaz, we have a Nej. Now here's the thing. Also my criteria, they're not all playing together. This is me just thinking like if they're plopped in with like random people, how they do. So I think a Nej would be fantastic. I guarantee she's Final Four, but if she doesn't win that last immunity, she's out. And here's my reasoning for that. She would have great social skills. She would be a great person to talk with people. And also she would have incredible intel gathering skills. Like she would be in the know on everything. Obviously, she's a little spy girly. So she would be able to know what everyone's doing, and she would be a great informant for her alliance, but would also just be a great informant for herself. So if there's any wind that her name is getting thrown around at all, you know that she's in the know about that. So that would greatly benefit her. She would also be fantastic in physical challenges. So pre-merge, she'd be great in helping out the tribe, and when they're all like in the mentality of like, we need to keep the tribe strong, she'd be great there. And then when they get post-merge, she'd definitely definitely be strong enough in challenges where she could definitely win a few, but isn't gonna be the biggest target. So she could like easily, you know, hide behind some of the bigger shields there. However, she is way too likable that when she gets to the end there, this is what I'm saying, that if she doesn't win that final 4 immunity to get into the final 3, she's not gonna make it because people will want to get rid of her because no one will want to sit next to her at the end. If she wins the fire making challenge, obviously then I think she has it in the bag, but if she were to lose it, I think her chances of winning just would go out the window because no one wants to sit next to Inej. Even if I was on Survivor, I'd be like, Inej, I love you, Lilas, let's have a drink after this, but I'm not gonna like take you with me. Also, sorry, I have a mix of like fantasy and romance people in here, but I'm kind of running through like the fantasy people I guess I thought of first. Now we have Miss Aelin Galathynius, who the fuck knows how to say it, but Aelin from Throne of Glass. Poverty 2.0 bitch, okay? She's running this shit. She's winning as well. She would flirt, manipulate, charm her way all the way to the very end until you're like, oh my god, how did she get here? Again, she'd be great in physical challenges. She'd be great around camp life. Like, I think her social game would be really strong. People would like her a lot. And she would have like a leadership role, but she wouldn't be seen as like the kingpin. That I think that she could avoid that for a while. Also, she would have literally all of the men wrapped around her finger. And she's also like enough of a girl's girl that all the girls wouldn't feel like threatened by her. You know? I'm saying she would literally be Poverty 2.0. Also, side note, Poverty. I'd say like top 3 players of all time in my opinion. I love Poverty so much. And she deserved better in Winners at War. Winners at War was a trash season. Don't come out, or not trash. I'll say all of the new school people are like, we're so much better because we got farther. I'm like, that's because no one saw you as a threat. Anyways, sorry. That got me angry because I love all my old school homies and they all went home early because everyone's like, they're the biggest targets. All these new school people, like, who's gonna see Adam as a threat when there's Boston Rob in the game? Okay, sorry, back to Aelin. She would not be afraid to make big, bold moves, as we know. And I just think she would have like an unmatched social game when it comes down to it. And also she's just extremely smart. So I think Aelin would kill it. Now, if we're talking about Rowan, I think Rowan, I think he could make it to the merge, but he is a post-merge boot, no doubt. I think the only reason that he would even stay in the game long enough to get post-merge would be because he would be a great physical asset to a tribe. But once they get into like individual game, he would not have had the social skills to build up a good enough alliance to keep him around after that point. I mean, Rowan's never going to be a charmer. He's just never going to. So I would say he's definitely out post-merge. As soon as he loses an individual immunity challenge, he's getting the boot. Okay, I'm going to jump around a bit. I have like just some characters that I list out for my TikTok. We're going to jump into some romance people, so that way if you're like my regular audience here and you're here for like all of the romance people, then here, let me give you some of these and then we'll get back into some of the other fantasy ones that I thought of. We have Damon from the Devil's Night series by Penelope Douglas, book 3, Kill Switch is his book. Damon is pulling a Brandon Hance circa Fans versus Favorites 2, and he's dumping out the tribe's rice, dumping out the tribe's beans, and having a full-on tantrum at the camp, and then leaving in a very explosive, flashy style. Because Damon, he can't fake it enough with other people to be willing to put up with other people's bullshit. So he's not gonna stick around and he's not gonna lie to people just for the sake of like lying. Like, he's not sly enough. He's not subtle. So I think he would quit, but I think he would go out in a very explosive way. So that way, when he does go out, he's like, I'm the maker of my own story, or something like that. If you've watched Survivor and you've watched Fans vs. Favorite 2 with Brandon, you just know what I'm talking about. He would just make sure that he went out and that everyone was as miserable as he was. Which, Damon, sweetheart, you can do whatever you want. You're excused. All of your actions are excused because I love you. Now let's go with a classic favorite book boyfriend of many. Mr. Garrett Graham from the Off-Campus series, specifically The Deal, that is his book by L. Kennedy. Here we go. I think it could go either 2 ways. Since we're in like the newer age of Survivor, I think there's not a chance in hell he wins, because I think there's not a chance in hell that he makes it to the end. However, if this was like older school Survivor, I could see him being like a JT. and making it all the way to the end, being very likable and just being like a very beloved winner and a very like charming winner, golden boy kind of dude. Good in physical challenges, also good socially, smart, you know, kind of all those good things that you used to like applaud in people, but now they're seen as like threats. If Garrett was playing in current day Survivor, Garrett would never make it past the merge because people would see him as a huge physical threat and just a huge threat to win the game, that he would be out. And I don't think that he would have it in him to lie and manipulate as much that is needed to win the game. I don't think he would be able to fully separate it, and I think he might get distracted on the island making friends. So I don't think Garrett would do great in New Age Survivor, but I do think he would be extremely likable. Like, he'd be like a Malcolm or a Joe, where you really like them and you root for them, but unless if you can win every single individual immunity after the merge, you're kind of screwed. I think that's kind of where Garrett's fate would lead him. But if we're talking Hannah Wells from the same book, I think Hannah could take it. I think Hannah has the potential to win. And here's why. I think she's smart enough, I think she's charming enough, and I think she's likable enough to make it to the end. I do think she would be willing to lie and manipulate if needed to win. However, I could see her getting into a little bit of trouble post-merge, and that she wouldn't be able to hide behind other people. However, within the pre-merge game, I think she would be really good at making alliances within her tribe and like making friends that way and kind of being able to avoid the radar. Also, I think she'd be decent enough in challenges that she wouldn't get booted for that. However, I think post-merge again would be her problem because she wouldn't be able to, I think people would see her as too charming, kind of like an Andrea Belke, you know. Fun fact, she's also from Wisconsin, Lilas. I think she would be kind of like an Andrea, extremely smart and charming, but can be seen as a threat. And I think she would get blindsided, most likely. Trage Hannah. But I think if Hannah was able to do all of that and she made it to the end, I think she would be convincing enough in a jury argument. I think she would be able to, you know, present herself well in that situation. But ultimately, if she can't get there, she can't win. I was just talking away and I realized that none of that was recording. So I think, I don't know if Mare's got recorded, but we'll re-go over her. Mare from the Red Queen series, out pre-merge. She's a pre-merge boot. We already know she has trust issues and she doesn't ever know who to trust. She doesn't have the best judgment in that. So I think that could be a problem for her. But then also I think she could run into the issue of that she doesn't trust anyone, and that could get her into trouble as well. Because even in the game of Survivor where you can't trust anyone, you need to trust someone. I do think she would be strong physically, so I don't think she's the first challenge boot or like the first vote boot. But I do think she's definitely out pre-merge because I don't think her social game would be strong enough to keep her around. Now head into the Agatar series. We have Miss Nesta here. So here's the thing. I think Nesta would make it to the end, but here's why. I think she would be seen as someone that people would want to take because they think that no one likes her. She would have crossed so many people on the jury or like rubbed them the wrong way that then someone would see that and be like, the jury's never gonna award her $1 million because no one likes her. So here's my thing. I think she would almost be like a Corinne. Personally, I love Corinne and I thought she was great TV, but I think she would kind of be like that if she has a problem with someone, she has a problem not saying anything. And I don't think that if she had an issue with someone in the tribe that she would hold back and everyone would know about it. So I think that that could get her into trouble, but also I think someone else would see that and be like, oh, everyone hates Nesta right now, or like Nesta keeps pissing everyone off. I'm gonna keep her around because no one's gonna vote for her in the end, so like let me work with her kind of thing, you know? So I kind of think that that's where Nesta would go. So I think she could make it to the final three. Would she win? No. I think in a jury situation then when they're like asking her questions, she would not be able to not be defensive about things. So I just don't see it going over well for her. However, props to her because I do think that she would make it all the way. Now let's jump back into a romance person. Let's go with Alex Volkov from Twisted Love, only because I literally can't get him out of my brain because he lives in there rent-free. I truly, honestly think Alex would be out first. Like, yes, he's a man, which typically men don't go first in Survivor because there's the whole mentality of like, we need to keep the tribe strong, so like get rid of the women. but I do think that he would annoy the shit out of his tribe way too early and that they would get rid of him first. I think that he would come in guns blazing and he would be seen as too strategic and too cagey right off the bat, that he would be like trying to form alliances, he would be searching for idols, like he would be that person on the first day doing the most and just kind of alienating himself from the tribe in a way. So I don't think that he has a good shot of doing well in Survivor. However, Alex, I do love you. Okay, now we have Miss Serafina from Twisted Pride by Cora Riley. It's the third book in the Kimora Chronicles. Absolutely love that series. If you haven't read it yet, get on it. I think Serafina would make it, I think she could make it post-merge. However, I don't think she'd make it to the end. And here's why. I think she's too much of a spitfire that once someone crosses her, I don't think she would ever, like let them make it up to her. You know, in Survivor, like people will vote against you or backstab you or like blindside you and maybe like vote out your closest alliance. And then the next day you have to like get up and try to work with that person again. And I don't see Serafina doing that. So I think post-merge her game would kind of fall apart with that. I do think though she'd be incredibly charismatic and very smart and kind of knows how to use her looks to kind of get her places. However, I just don't think it would be enough, like, once she's been wronged. However, she would be extremely loyal, so I do think if this was, like, old school Survivor, her loyalty would really pay off. She'd get an alliance and stick with it. However, once that, like, blew apart, I think then she'd be in trouble and she would never be able to like work with the enemy, if that makes sense. On the other hand, we have Nino from Twisted Emotions, which is the second book in the Kimora Chronicles. Now, here's the thing with Nino. I kind of was going back and forth with him because I think in one sense, I do think that he could make it post-merge. However, I think he would get himself into trouble with using people as chess pieces. And that's because like he doesn't really feel emotions, even though obviously at the end of Twisted Bonds, like he's changed some. But I do truly think that he wouldn't do well in terms of like the social game. And he would be fine in like being able to kind of like mimic emotions almost. However, he would just make decisions purely based on logic, which while that's great and you do need to keep your emotions out of it, I do think at the end of the day, if he made it to the finals and the jury looked at him, they would all be like so pissed off at him. And like they would say, you can't just use people as chess pieces in the game. Like you do need to form some sort of social connection in order to get them to vote for you. Like you can't just say like I played the best game. Like you do need to have built some bonds. And I don't think that he would be able to say that he built any of those personal connections with anyone. So I don't think Nino would win, that's for sure. Now we're jumping back to Azrael from the ACOTAR series. So here's the thing, he would be fucking fantastic at intel gathering. He would definitely always be in the know of everything with all of his like spy finesse. You know, he would always be in the know of things, kind of like a Nej. But here's the thing, he wouldn't be able to trust people at all, I don't think, which again would bite him in the ass. And then also, I don't think that he would have a really strong social game that post-merge when it's all about kind of like your social maneuverings and then like bigger physical threats are eliminated early on. I think he would be one of those threats eliminated early on if he didn't win individual immunity. Okay, I think those are kind of all of the people that I have off the top of my head right now. If anyone literally watches this, I'll be surprised. But if anyone ever wants to see a part 2, let me know what characters. But it would obviously have to be from books that I've read. But please let me know. I don't know. This was more just me feeling like I have a lot of energy right now and wanting to film something and not having anything to film and then being like, what could I do to talk about while I get ready? And like this came up in my head. So obviously that's what we did today. If anyone liked it, thank you for sticking with me to the end here. I don't have anything else to say. So I will see ya when I see ya, and thank you so much for watching.